how do we control who has access to the MFP and what level of functionality they can have? Well, we've built into the MFP up to 1,000 user accounts. So let's take a close look how we can set these up. Well, probably the easiest way of setting up the accounts is by connecting to the MFP via your standard web browser. So here you can see I've just put the IP address into the menu bar at the top of the display. So enter the IP address. Once you've done this, you can save that address, of course, as a favourite for use later on. If you don't know the IP address of the MFP, simply go to the MFP control panel and it will tell you. So we're going to go to the utility setting and select device information, and you'll see the IP address listed. Of course, to set up anything to do with security, you need to log in as the administrator. All of the security settings you'll find under the User Authentication Account Track menu. So let's just switch that on. The home menu is called General Settings. So at the moment you can see User Authentication is switched to off. If we are using an email server with LDAP, we could have authentication via external server. So your email logon could be the same as your MFP logon. I'm just going to leave it set to MFP. We also have public user access. This is a real handy feature because you may not want to give an account to everybody in the building. So casual walkers by the machine, you may want to give them some access, but also you might want to restrict what functionality they have. So let's actually switch that on, and we'll also say with login. This means that as they walk past the machine, there'll be a public user access button which they need to log into to get access to their restricted feature set. Now, it's not mandatory, but we also have something called Account Track. Account Track effectively is a department. So we could have Olivetti as a department, we could have, say, marketing as another department, sales, logistics, and so on. So as I say, it's not mandatory, but just for the illustration, we're going to switch this on and we can create some account tracks. The Synchronize button effectively will link the users to the various departments that I set up. So we'll leave the Synchronize button switched on. That's the general settings completed, so I'll confirm that. Of course, we'll need to set up the department, so I'll do that in Account Track settings. As you can see, at the moment in time, there are no departments I can look at, so I need to create them. Here I can put in the department name, so let's put in Olivetti. I don't need to put a password in, but I can do if I want to make it even more secure. And we'll just confirm that. I can continue to load other departments, such as marketing, sales, etc. But in this case, I'm just going to return and just show you that we've created one auditing department. In this case, it's Olivetti. Now I need to set up the user accounts. So I'll do that by going to User Authentication setting. My first user account is going to be John. He works for Olivetti. I need to give him full access to the full functionality of the machine. So let's just type in John's name. Put in the password for him. I need to assign him to a department. So in this case, I'm going to select Olivetti. In the next section, you can see functions permissions, and this is where you can restrict or reduce the amount of functionality that somebody can have. So for example, in copy mode, I could restrict John from doing copying or only copying in black, but I'm going to give John full access to all the functionality. It's also possible to restrict volume, and I can do that as a total volume allowance or do it as individual allowances for either colour or black and white. But I'm going to leave John have full access, and then we'll just confirm the account. Let's set up another user. In this case, this account will be for Wayne. Enter Wayne's password. I need to assign him to the department. In this case, it will be Olivetti. But this time I'm going to restrict some functionality. Let's stop Wayne from scanning. Let's stop him from faxing and using the user box. I want him to copy and I want him to print, but I want to restrict it to black only. Once I've done that, I can confirm. Just return, and then you can see we've got 2 accounts set up. If I need to change the accounts, I can do that very easily. So for Wayne, let's say I've made a mistake. I wish him to do scanning. Let's go back to scanning, in this case in full colour scanning as well, and I can just confirm. Finally, we need to set up the public user access. So I'll select public user, and perhaps here for walk-up users who have no specific account, maybe I want to just have black copying, no functionality for scanning, faxing, perhaps even printing, user box. So we've just got very basic functionality for casual walk-up users. Once I'm happy with that, I can complete by setting OK. Once you've completed all of your settings for security, let's log out of the administrator mode, and we can go back to the standard connection with the MFP. I'm going to send an 8-page colour document using John's name. So I'll just open up the correct driver, in this case dcolor MF282 Plus, into the basic tab, and in the authentication area, normally this would be greyed out, but the drivers are bidirectional. So it's talked to the machine and it knows now that the user authentication and account track has been switched on. And here you can see I've already put John's details in. We have John's username, I've put his password in account track, I've put Olivetti as the departmental name and the password for Olivetti. Now, once you've set this part of the driver up once, you don't have to keep resetting it every time you use the driver. Just need to talk to the machine to verify that this account is live, it's active, and I've put the correct details into the driver. So just OK that, and then release the job to print. Now you can see the MFP is processing. It's identified John's account as access to full colour and printing. I'm going to send the same 8-page document again, but this time I'm going to use Wayne's account. Of course, Wayne's been restricted to black and white printing only. So we'll go back into Properties, go back into the Basic menu and then into Authentication. I'm going to change the name to Wayne, change the password. We have the same department, of course, and the same password for the department. I'll just verify the settings. So we'll just confirm that and release the job to print. Now, although the MFP has granted me access, it also knows I have a restriction to colour printing. So it will automatically switch to mono printing. So at least I get a print job and the file wasn't binned. So here we have the 8 pages from John's account, and here we have the 8 pages from Wayne's account, automatically printed in mono. It's not dumped the file, which some competitive machines do. It's actually said, okay, he doesn't have access to colour, but he needs prints. I will do them in mono. Auditing the MFP is easy. I need to go back into the administrator mode via the web browser, just where we set up the user accounts before. This time I'm going to go into the maintenance menu. Drop down to the export menu. And what I want to look at is the counter information. So select counter and we'll select export. Now here we can select the meter counter, which is the overall counter of the MFP. I want to see the prints that have been done by user. So I'll select user counter and confirm. Now we can download that, we can open the file, or we can even save it as a file onto our desktop. And then once it's on the desktop, of course, we can grab all of the data and export it to Microsoft Excel, perhaps if I need to do some more analysis on it. I'm just going to open the file on screen so we can see. So here we have all the information for the 2 user accounts. What I can actually do is to select all of this data, and I'm going to copy that and export it into an Excel document. So here you can see John's account, Wayne's account. I'm just going to scroll to the right, and you can see for the printer volume we've got 8 full colour attributed to John and 8 black or mono attributed to Wayne. So really easy accounting. So if we export counter again, this time we'll select account track, download, and we'll open up that document. And now we have a department total. We have 2 users in Olivetti and the total is 16 prints. Again, this data can be exported.